So to whoever may be watching this, first thing I want to say is I want to send you love and light. I know we live through turbulent times, and I know it's been a very long time since I made a video. And I wanted to just talk about two things. First of all, the reason I didn't make a video is I fell very much back into the role of the person due to certain life circumstances. And I think posting this, my sincerest hope is that this is going to help whoever's on this path of awakening, of truth, of finding the truth of who they are. For the longest time, I was in a, how can you say, in a state of just pure presence. It's after so many years, and it's so interesting because the nature of reality as pure consciousness gives you that space. The deeper you are in recognition of who and what the truth is, the easier it is to calibrate your surroundings, in a sense, to be grounded and to be able to notice the phenomenality in terms of thoughts, in terms of mind, in terms of things, anything that phenomenally arises in this space of consciousness. If you are grounded in the consciousness's presence, which you already actually are, but sometimes it doesn't feel like that. And that's what I want to talk about, because that didn't feel like to me for several months. It's like that pendulum swings from awakening, you're where you realize your essence, you see everything, you feel fully present and fully aware and at peace. And then suddenly something might happen on the exterior, right? And it swings to the other side, and you feel that contraction, you feel that pressure. The problem becomes, and I'm speaking purely in my case, when it's not expected. In a sense, you feel like you've transcended that person. You feel like you've transcended the ego, body, mind, identity. But then it comes with a vengeance, right? Because we are not used to it anymore. We have not been in the energy vibration of the mind identity. And when the mind personal identity comes in, you can feel it coming in. It's a contraction. It's typically involves more thinking. It involves a lot of resistance, like you don't want this, right? So, and then in the end of the day, you're fighting your own battles within your own mind, resisting, not wanting, trying to control. I think that's the operative word. I've come to realize there is no control through my own understanding and inquiries and over the many years. So what I want to offer you is a practical exercise, for lack of a better word. Because yes, when that comes back, when the mind comes back with a vengeance as a result of certain life events, and I understand this happens to so many people, the knee-jerk reaction, which is based on fear, is to try to control, resist, and to suppress it, or to try to change it. Why? Because that's what we've been taught. When we were born, we were not taught that. We were conditioned to believe that everything has to be solved through the mind. Our entire life is mind-based, right? We're a very mind-based culture. And by being a mind-based culture, I found out that that is not in line with my truth over my life. And as a result of that, yes, I struggled tremendously, out of anxiety, depression, whatever you want to call it. And that's the key. You're not living your truth. I wasn't living my truth of who I am. I was living a fabricated mind-body idea, thought, concept of who I thought I was. So once that becomes really dislodged, you find yourself in a atmosphere of pure presence, and it feels like home. It feels wonderful. So the key here is surrender. That's what the other word I want to look for. It comes to the point when we try everything, right? You try all the techniques like breathing deeply, visualizing, everything you can imagine that you read about. And of course I try all of these things. We do, because we're desperate. When we feel that personal presence, which is claustrophobic, which makes the world so small, turns us back into that little individual. Just realize the whole time you're actually observing that as well, right? That's the reason you can talk about this, is because you're observing the whole process. And you can never be what you observe. Just understand that. So by the power is in observation with detachment. And I found, and I've always found, that I forget about this sometimes. That's why I want to make this video, to not only remind myself, but remind you, and hopefully this will help you, is surrender. Unconditional, total surrender. Unfortunately, the word surrender has not been really seen from the spiritual perspective as for what it is. At least not in my case. In the beginning, you know, we feel that surrender is a weakness, when in fact it's a tremendous strength. Because in despite of the pain, despite the resistance you have, that's why it's so strong. Because despite of that, you're still willing to just let it be. You're not getting involved. You're not touching it. You're not involving your mind with whatever is arising. And by surrendering, it doesn't mean like if you see something horrible, you're not going to surrender and let it happen. Of course not. That is a spontaneous action that will happen within your universal consciousness. And if you're aligned with that, the right action will occur at the right time. You don't need to think about that. But surrendering is a practice, and I've been doing this now for a good week. I've done this a lot in the past, and it just came to me again, and I'm glad. It's a beautiful exercise you can do. Whatever arises, this is a thought, it's a contraction, and you know, luckily for the contractions, they are typically more pronounced than the more subconscious thoughts, right? So as a result of that, you feel it immediately, and once you feel it, just let it be there. Allow everything to be. That points to a beautiful human called Adyashanti. If you've ever watched his videos, he has a wonderful meditation on allow everything to be as it is. Why? Because that's the natural state. The natural state is of allowing. That's who we really are. We live in the space of surrender. So I encourage you, if you really are struggling now, just put that practice to place. Automatically surrender to what is. And if you say, no, I don't want to surrender, then surrender to the one that doesn't want to surrender. Don't resist your resistance. Practice that, and I can just say from my own perspective, that is very powerful practice, because it allows you to see, by surrendering, what the volition, what the trajectory, what the desires of your body, mind, identity, aka ego, whatever you want to call it, is. By surrendering to that, you're not giving it any power. I really hope this helps. Have a beautiful day.